yoga mat, great, but you don't need one, so just make some space in the living room. And the other thing that might come in handy is a yoga block, but again, if you don't have a block, you can also use cushions or maybe get a couple of thick books, and that might help you too. So meet me in the space and let's get moving. We're going to start on all fours, and as always while we're here, I just like to warm up the spine a little bit first. So we're going to make some circles in the spine, rolling around. Nice big circles, working into any sort of tight areas in the rib cage, going into that flexion at the top, create some space in the spine, and then into the extension at the bottom. Then change direction, go the other way. Nice big circles. And then from there, come to a neutral position. We're going to now circle through the hips. So in this position, we take one knee in tightly, then out to the side, nice big circle behind, and then draw it down and then go back the other way. Nice big circle out and back in. Okay, and then to the other hip, knee in, take it out, draw it down and then reverse it. And then again, the other side, take the knee in, nice big circle, and then take it the other way. Other side, take it out, just checking in with the hip, noticing how that feels. Should feel quite nice doing this, just creating some space. And then the other side. And then from there, just have a little wiggle side to side. So we'll go into a downward dog position first. So just hook the feet, we want the feet about hip width. Spread the hands wide, grip the mat with the fingers, and then from here, let's just lift the hips. Bend your legs, so you've not got all of that weight into the shoulders to begin with if the backs of the legs are feeling a bit tight. So then when the legs are bent, I'm still pinning my lower ribs in, and then just looking back between the legs. Open position in the spine, should be nice and flat. Then from there, you can start to walk the feet. Just working into the backs of the legs, noticing how the calves and the hamstrings feel. Don't worry if you can't get the heel to the mat. And then let's just breathe in and out of the nose. I'll be breathing in and out of the mouth a lot more than you. It's hard to breathe through the nose when you're talking. So focus on that breath, drawing it in and out of the nose, walking through the legs. And all we're going to do from this position is take a nice big step with your right foot up to the very top of the mat. Lower your back knee down, and then you can have the hands inside the front foot. And this might be where your block comes in handy. So you can elevate the hand if the floor feels too far away. You can also extend this back leg. See how that feels when we make some circles in the hips, wiggle it about. And then if you want a bit more to the forearms. In this position, I want the lower back to be nice and flat. I don't want to be rounding like this or trying to force my elbow to the floor. So lengthen out through the chest, lift the eyes, and then obviously the block or your books will help you here too. Breathe, keep breathing in and out of the nose, noticing how the hips feel. And then we'll add a little sequence from the hips into the hamstrings just by lowering that back knee down. All we do from here is sit up nice and tall, and we're going to extend our front leg. But rather than lock the knee out, we'll keep a soft bend in the knee. And then from this position, what I'm going to do is think about tilting the pelvis forwards. And this is going to come into it later when we get into our pancakes. Really important to understand how to tilt the pelvis forwards. So with the front leg out, slight bend in the knee, tilt the pelvis forwards, lead forwards with the chest. And as you start to hinge forward, you should now be feeling that stretch into the belly of the hamstrings. So lower belly pulls in, pelvis tilts, and now let's just breathe. Turn your foot side to side and you're going to feel a whole lot more going on in different areas of the hamstrings. From here we can then come back into the hips, either on the forearms or onto the hands. Maybe it feels good for you to give that front knee like a little bit of a nudge open. You might feel that more into the outer hip and glute when you do it like that. And then let's lower the leg again, extend the front leg. If you want to come into this a bit deeper, you can bring your hands onto the ground like I have now. And it can also help to elevate both hands on blocks. If you need to do that here too, you can. Let's turn the foot, avoid rounding out and hunching the shoulders. Lengthen out, lead with the chest or aim belly button to the thigh. And then let's come forward once more, back into those hips. Moving around. The elbows want to be more or less in line with the front foot rather than out here. So draw them back. And then just feeling that opening up. You'll also feel this into the top of the hamstrings on this side of the leg that's bent, if you're feeling tight there. So it's not wrong if you are feeling it there. And then from here, let's go back to a downward dog. We'll do the same on the other side. So we're just going to take the left foot up, lower the back knee, wiggle about a little, use your block for support under the hands or under the forearms. You can also extend the back leg. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. Lower back knee and then just bring the body up. We'll do the same as we did on the other side. So soft bend in the front leg, tilt the pelvis forwards. So rather than tucking it under, which is going to make us round through the back, tilt it forwards, lead with the chest, breathe in and out the nose. Now let's turn that foot and just feeling what's going on in the back of the leg. Notice as well if one side feels tighter than the other. And now let's come back into the hips. Maybe give your front knee a little bit of a nudge open. You can obviously lower the back knee to do that. The front foot down when we do that one. And again, back into the hamstrings. Maybe the hands stay on the ground this time. Just turn the foot. Again, still leading with the chest. Keeping my eyes up and forward is going to help you with that. If you tend to look down, you're more likely going to start to hunch up. So shoulder blades tucked down into the back. And again, back into the hips. And into the hamstrings. So from back to the front to a downward dog, we're going to our thumb touch and position. You can either or just step your feet outside your hands. So we are now in a squat. And then in our squat position, just take a look at your feet, slightly turn your toes out. Knees are tracking the toes. So we think about driving the knees open. Okay, and if you're slightly up onto the balls of your feet, that's fine. Don't worry if you can't fully get the heel down. Okay, we're just going to kind of move about side to side. Just keep it dynamic. Little squat dance. Okay, and then from here, all I want you to do is bring it to the ground. Go into a frog stand, but instead we're actually just going to press the knees open using the backs of the arms. So just little rocks back and forth. And then from here, let's sit onto our bums. See if you can sit down without using your hands, but obviously use them if you need to. The feet in front, it's quite a wide position. So from here, I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Continue to breathe in and out of the nose, and then we're going to take one knee in and back, the other knee in and back. Nice and slowly through it. Each time you come back to this internal rotation in the hips, see if you can go that a little bit further without kind of using the upper body to help you bring the leg to the floor. So we're trying to almost isolate through that hip a little bit more. I'm going to add external rotation as well. So one knee goes in, one knee goes out, still sitting up nice and tall or using the hands for a bit of support, coming up and then going to the other side. And again, just building that awareness in your body, feeling what's going on. Okay, so you can either continue to do that or we can do that in the squat as well. So while you're sat in your squat, it might feel like you can take one knee in. Don't worry if it doesn't touch the floor. It might be that you've moved it to there, that's fine. And then we can also really challenge it up. By all means, use your hands for this. Take one knee in, one knee out, and then try and take it back and out again. So really challenging the ankles here too. Slower you go, the harder it's going to feel. And the more control you've got to then build. Okay, so from this squat position, if you're sat on the floor, you can bring yourself back into your squat. The options for here, if this is feeling too challenging to sit in, is to kneel down on one side. So I'll try and explain that a bit more as we get moving. From our squat, the first thing we're going to do is hold on to one ankle or just place the hand out in front on the ground. Use the elbow or the hand to press the other knee open. So I can obviously do it kneeling down one side, press the knee out here, like so. Okay, so make it relative to you. So just give that knee a good nudge open, draw the shoulder away from the ear, maybe add a little twist, looking up. And let's just do a couple more on this side, then we'll switch. Bring it back in and then press it out. Bring it back in and out. And this should feel really quite nice all the way down into the outer hip. Okay, and then we'll switch to the other side. So either holding the ankle, the hand down, or kneeling onto one side. And we'll give the other knee a little nudge with the elbow or the hand. And then draw it in and out. Keep breathing through the nose. A couple more. Press it open. Last one. And then come back into the center. So we're going to add some extra twists here as well. You can still do this next variation kneeling down on one side. So all we're going to do is 5 twists each side. One hand comes out or holds the ankle. We draw the opposite elbow back, and if you want a bit more, we can extend the arm and see how that feels. See if we can really open up. Again, feeling this all the way through the side of the body down into the outer hip, adding a nice rotation for the trunk. And then draw it back in to the center. That was one. And again, opening up with the hand or the elbow. And in and back. 2 more. Nice big twist, opening the chest. Last one. And then draw it in and we'll switch to the other side. So either kneeling down, like so, or both feet on the ground. So twisting it back, taking that elbow back, maybe extending the arm back. And in, that's one. And twist. And in, that's 2. Still breathing through the nose, pressing the knees open. 2 more. Last one. And then bring it back to the center. So from here, all we're going to do is start to lift the hips and toe heel the feet out. So I'm going to bring the hands onto the ground. Please bend your legs as much as you need to. You don't need to be going fully extended unless that feels good. So we go toe, heel out into a nice wide stance. And then from this position, bend your legs, track them open, and then bring the body to stand up. So we're starting in a standing position before we come back in. We're going to have the feet sort of parallel into a wide stance, hands onto the hips. And now all we're going to do from this position is lead through the chest, lift the eyes forwards, soften the knees so we don't lock them back. And now we hinge down. The hands can come onto the ground, onto the fingertips. You can also, again, use your block or books or even a chair or the sofa to help just bring the body up a bit higher. We don't want to force these positions. So I've got my big toes just slightly turned in here as well. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. As you exhale, fold a bit deeper, hinging from the hips. We want the weight to shift slightly forwards in the feet rather than locking it back in the heels. That's going to make us lock the knees out and drive the hips back. Shift the weight forwards, then fold, and you're going to feel this a lot more into the hamstrings. So from the side, rather than me going back and sending the bum back, instead the weight shifted, sent the weight forwards. Now the hips can lift up higher and my hamstrings are going to feel that a lot more. So keep breathing in and out of the nose. It might feel nice to start kind of like, keep it a bit more dynamic, bend one leg, then the other, and just sort of float side to side. With each exhale, let's try and create a bit more space and go a bit deeper. Maybe if those of you a bit more flexible, you might feel like you can start to walk the hands back through. Just a few more breaths here. Keep compressing the belly towards the thighs. Those of you that are a bit higher, just avoid any sort of rounding in the back, trying to reach for the ground. Come up higher, and if I have elevated my hands there, that's going to mean that I can keep this nice flat position in the back and gradually over time start to work it down. Don't rush this one. So then from this position we're going to Cossack, side to side. So we're going to go back into that sort of dynamic movement, and each time we're going to see if we can just go a little bit lower. Feel what's going on in the ankle. Drive the knee open as you go across. Use the hands for support, or again your blocks. And now let's come all the way down onto one side. Now your Cossack may look more like this with the heel up. That's fine. Just go to where you can. We're working more into the adductors and the hamstrings. Your ankles are going to get a lot out of this too, but please don't worry if your heel doesn't touch the floor. Okay, you can use the hands for support or take them off. With my extended leg, the foot is flat on the mat. Feeling this more into the adductors, and when I turn my toes up, I'm going to feel that bit more into the hamstrings. So you're going to kind of mix it up between the two. Turn the toes down, turn them up, and just see how that feels. If you have like a light weight or something, or even again a book, maybe a heavy book, hold it out in front if you're really struggling to sit here. Using a bit of a weight bias can help here as well. Okay, let's go to the other side. So we're going to use the hands to help. Lift the hips up, travel across, bend the other leg, track the knee open, and then foot is flat on the ground, working into those adductors. Press the knee open, breathe. And now let's start to mix up that position with the foot. So we're really getting that rotation happening in the hip now. Turn the toes up, turn them down. Hold your weight bias out in front for a bit of support, if that helps. Okay, so we're going to challenge it up a little bit more now and see if we can travel across side to side, keeping the hips really low. Go to where feels good for your body, don't force anything. So I'm going to start to travel across as low as I can to the other side, nice and slow. Just do a couple of rotations into that side, and then we'll go across again. Keeping the body low, transitioning around, turning the foot up and down, and again, one more each side. And across. And then as we go back, we're going to add another challenge. So from here, you can use your hands to help sit down onto your bum, and then use your hands to help get up. If you think you can go further than that, bring the hands out in front, sit down, and then come back up. And we'll go across to the other side. Once you're in your Cossack, sit down, and then up, using your hands again, or maybe using your block, and just not going quite so far to the ground, but still feeling that movement, taking the bum down to the block, and then off it. And over time, again, books would be great for this, because you can start to lower that platform. And switch it over to the other side. This time, sit on the bum. We're going to draw this front knee in, so we're going internally rotated into that hip, and then take it out again, and then draw it in. And if your range is here, then that's fine. Just work with what your body has got. One more, going in, and really driving that knee out, then sitting up. And let's go across the other side and do the same. Sit onto your bum, take the knee in and out, really driving it out actively, and then in again and out. Reach forwards as well while you're here. One more, in and out, coming forwards, and then from there let's go high with the hips again. So one more fold in this wide leg position. Hopefully feels a little bit more open now. You can bring the hands to the hips, you can bend the legs. You can obviously elevate yourself higher than this, as we've gone through before, or bring the hands to the ground. If you're as wider position right now with your head basically on the floor, then just take the feet a bit narrower like I have here. If I go wide and bring my head down, I'm actually going to now get more out of it. If I go narrower and work into that range, hinge from the hips, compress the belly to the thighs. And then from there, let's come back up. We're going to walk the hands around to one foot and then step into a downward dog. Just walk through the feet. And then from there, bring your hands together, jump back into a squat. A little bit more work into the hips, into this squat position before we start coming into a full pancake. So we're going to sit back down onto the bum, but this time we're going to take the legs out into a 90-90 position. So just take the legs over to one side. Make sure you've set up into a 90-90 position with the front ankle and knee in line, knee and hip, ankle and knee, okay? Then from here, sit up really tall. If you find you're almost falling over, falling out of this one, again, use your block or your books and place it under the front hip, okay? That will help you sit up nice and tall. So while we're here, we're going to actively press the legs, both legs, really push them down into the floor. You're going to feel a lot more going on as we're working into more of an active range rather than if we sort of sink into it and then just fold, okay? So actively push. Same as what we've done so far with all the other folds, we've slightly tilted the pelvis forwards and led forward with the chest. So I want you to think about that now as well. Keep the spine nice and flat. Lead the chest forward or the belly button towards, as if you're going to take your belly button to your front shin. Okay, press the legs into the ground. You can even add a bit more resistance by pushing the hand into the front leg and really pressing or resisting the leg against the hand as well. And then sit up. And again, coming forwards, push the legs into the floor. And up, one more. And up. Okay, from here, I'm going to take this back knee out as slowly as I can, and I'm going to try and keep this leg pinned to the ground for as long as I can, okay? Probably not going to last all that long, but take the leg out. Go as slowly as possible, really active, and then we go across to the other side. Okay, so pressing that front leg down firmly, or as firmly as you can, into the ground. Think active. Both legs are pushing down, but really focus on pressing this front leg in. Then from there, lead with the chest, slightly hinge forwards, and then sit back up again. Again, you can also add that pressure with the hands onto that front leg as you really drive the leg into the ground. One more. Hinging forwards, push the front leg into the floor and sit up. Now I'm going to take this back knee out again as slowly as I can. Whew. Take it across. And then we'll do it once more each side. You should be feeling a heck of a lot of heat in your hips. Okay, this next one, same again. We're going to hinge forward, press the legs firmly into the ground, and then sit up. Again, press the legs into the ground, hinge forwards. My hips are literally shaking. And then sit up. Okay, twice more. Hinge forwards, press the legs down, keep breathing in and out the nose. And up, once more, hinge forwards. And up. Okay, we're going to turn to look at this back knee now. Okay, you can use the hands behind you to help prop yourself up. You can bring them slightly ahead. And I'm just going to slightly lean forwards. I'm going to feel a lot more into the internal rotation into this back hip. But rotate the chest and open it towards that knee. Keep breathing. And then let's turn back slowly with this back leg. Open it up. Okay, and then turn round to the other side. So once more through. Make sure that 90-90 position is set up. Press the front leg into the ground, or both legs into the ground. But then from there, hinge forwards and push the leg into the floor as you come up. Again. And again. Once more. Okay, from here, slowly turn that back knee. Oh no, I didn't. We missed it. We sit up. That's it. Sit up tall. And then from there, really turn to face that back knee. Press the legs into the ground. Keep breathing. Okay, and then let's turn back. Now we lead with the knee, nice and slow. Okay, so from here, in this 90-90 position, I can also take this back leg out and back in again. Keep pinning the front leg down. And you feel a lot going on into that back hip. Press the legs, or press this front leg into the ground. Push the front foot, sorry, the back foot. I'm getting right muddled up now. Push the back foot into the floor and then just lift the knee and then lower. A couple more times. Raise it up, lower it down. And then let's travel across once more. So the knee leads, turn, good click there. Press the legs into the ground, push that back foot into the ground. Now let's raise the back knee up and down and up. So these 90-90 positions are really great. There's so many different variations you can do. These are just some variations. Another good click. But we're strengthening up the hips as well. So we're creating more space, creating more range, but we're staying strong with it rather than just going into sort of like a 2-minute fold in a pigeon position where we tend to switch off and relax into it. This is more active mobility work. So from here, now let's go all the way into a seated position and take our legs out nice and wide. You might feel you need to kind of just shake the legs out a little bit. We've done a lot of work. Okay, I'm going to take the feet wide, ready for my pancake, and I'm going to sit up tall. So you can take a block here and place it under your bum, so that we think about pulling the flesh out from underneath the seat bones, but this is going to help tilt the pelvis forwards again, or sit up nice and tall in the hips, which is what we're going to need in this position. I'm going to show you from the side so you can see the position of the spine. Once I'm sat here, if I'm tight, I'm probably going to find my lower back rounds, and when I ask you to fold, it's going to be more like this. You round through the back, or even maybe you get to move somewhere, but we're really hunched over. Okay, so the way that we're going to fix that is by elevating the bum up on top of a block or books. We're now going to help to tilt that pelvis forward, so I'm really sat upright in this position. So now when I ask you to slightly hinge and fold, there's so much more space for you to keep a nice position in the spine and actually get a little bit somewhere further into your pancake, okay? So wherever you are, test first if you need to use that platform, but it will really help you access more range and it'll feel a lot nicer on the body. So first, when you're sat up with the legs out wide, just see, can I sit up tall? Can I think about lifting up out the hips and tilting that pelvis forward slightly first, okay? If that feels really challenging to do, grab your block and just use that for help. Hands either side of the hips. We're going to breathe in and out of the nose, use the hands to gently start to lead forwards, thinking about taking the belly button to the mat. Lead with the chest. Again, if I keep my eyes up and ahead, I'm more likely to then keep that nice position in the back than if I start looking at the floor. I'm going to start hunching over. Okay, so wherever you are, slightly roll the thighs out, think about the knees pointing up rather than everything sort of collapsing inward. Lead forwards, breathe in and out of the nose, and just see where you can go to in this pancake position. Then from there, when you're ready, we're going to press the legs into the ground to sit up. And basically, we're going to work through 10 pulses, kind of going in and out of this pancake position. So you can do different variations. Hands can be behind the body, and we just gently give ourselves a little bit of a nudge and press and lead with the chest here. Then push the legs into the floor to sit up before you go for your next one. The other variation is to bring the hands out in front, just onto the fingertips, don't push into the hands, and then lead with the chest, push the legs into the floor and come up. If you want more, then have a little go at taking the arms up and overhead, and then from there, if we lead with the chest, actively push the legs into the floor to come up again. Okay, and with each repetition, we're taking the belly button towards the ground and driving up, back up. So we've done at least 4 there, let's carry on. Hinging forwards and press until the legs come up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, still pressing the legs into the ground, and 10. Okay, have a little rest. Between that, we're going to bring the legs in, go into like a butterfly seated position. You can still have the block under your bum, and then it might just feel nice to kind of butterfly the knees, taking them up and down. So on this next, we could call it a set of pancake pulses, you can also add a weighted load, but I don't recommend doing this straight if you've only done pancakes for the first time in this video today. So if you like dumbbell, and it can literally be like a couple of kilos, I've got a kettlebell here. What I can do is, once I'm in that pancake position, is take the weight up and over behind me, okay? And then again, I'm just working at strengthening through that range as I'm moving into it. The weight will also probably help allow me to access a little bit more range, and I can use that as I move in and out of my pancake. So if you've got something, go for it, but please be mindful, listen to your body. So I'm going to do this one from the side, and we'll do 10. Again, take the legs out. You shouldn't be feeling any sort of pain in the inside of the knees. Okay, so just check how wide you've gone with the legs as well. You can take them in a little bit. Sit up tall, pop that block under your bum if you need it. Choosing your variation for this, so hands can be behind the body. And then let's lead forwards, belly button towards the mat, or lift the eyes up, and then press into the legs to come up tall. And again, and that's 2, 3, maybe arms up, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, bring the legs back in, shake them out a little, maybe go into external rotations, just like gentle, easy ones with the legs up front, and then into that butterfly position. So feet are knees open. You can either press the legs down in towards the ground, or just wave the knees up and down like that, and then one round. Okay, so just have a little rest first. So on this next pancake position, next pancake fold, or the pulses, we can also add in some side reaches, which feels really nice for the lower back. So each time you've done sort of one pancake movement, we can then go hand across one hip, reach the other arm up and over, okay? And it might be that you've literally got to about here, and that's fine. You can obviously add a little bit more range by reaching all the way over for that foot. But if you have got hold of the foot, anchor the body underneath as much as you can, and then you'll switch to the other side. Okay, so this one will take a little bit longer. We'll go through it together. So set up for your position for that pulse. So I'm going to raise the arms up. You might have hands behind you. We go forwards, lift the eyes, belly button towards the ground. Press through the legs to come up. Take one hand across and reach. Okay, go to your range. Switch to the other side, across. And raise the arms up. That was 1. Forwards. And push with the legs. Reach across. Anchor the body under. 2. 3. 4. Keep going. Maybe seeing if you can start to access a little bit more range each time, but don't force anything. Keep going, reaching across. Six. Next one, press through the legs. 7, 8, couple more. 9, last one through. Drive those legs into the ground to sit up and reach. And then bring yourself up and out. Okay, we're going to bring the legs in. We can bring them out in front first if you need to. Just take the feet in and out. Internally, externally rotating those hips. Bring the feet together. Drive the knees open. Butterfly. Okay, from here, all we're going to do, bring ourselves wide to position, go through a core into exercise. The hips are probably feeling pretty tired now. Okay, and then bring yourself into a downward dog position. Just notice how the backs of the legs feel, the hips kind of shout a little. Okay, and then from here we can take the knees down to the ground. I'm only going to finish with one more, which we can go into sort of like a bit of a frog stretch. We take the knees wide. The inner edges of your knees are on the ground, so if you need to put cushions underneath them, then you can. I've taken the legs wide. The inner edges of my feet line up with the knees, and then from there I can go onto the forearms. Okay, from here you can obviously also use a block to elevate the forearms onto. If you want more, then you can walk the hands out in front. But in this position, I want you to grip the ground with the knees, feel the inner thighs activate. Breathe in and out of the nose. Okay, and then while you're here, it's making sure that, so keep gripping the ground with the knees, keep breathing in. We want in the hip line. So if I start to bring my hips forwards, this is going to probably make it feel a little bit easier. We're not going to be opening up into the hips as much. So keep the hips in line with the knees. But if it gets too much at any point, if you slightly bring your body forwards, it will just feel like a bit of a nice way to release off. Okay, so keep gripping the ground with the legs. Maybe squeeze the ground between the knees for like 5 seconds and then relax. And then again, squeeze the ground and relax. And just feel that activation to the inner hips. Squeeze and relax. And we'll just do one more. Squeeze the ground, grip it with the knees. And release. Okay, from here you can either kind of crawl your way forward and just flop onto the ground, or press with the hands and then tuck the knees in. We'll go into a gentle sort of upward dog, so you can keep the arms straight here. Engage the tops of the legs, don't worry about lifting the knees so much, but just make sure that you're not sinking into the ground. And we're just pressing the hips forwards. If this feels too much, then go onto the forearms again. Press the front of the legs and the hips into the ground, lengthen out through the spine. And then from there, bring yourself back. You can take the legs wide. Have a couple of breaths here. And rest there if you want, guys. So thanks for joining me today. That was quite a long hip flow. Hopefully you feel good for it. And we'd love to know how you found it. So obviously leave a comment in the comments box below. But thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. Class dismissed.